Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. I used the Papillon Potpourri set by Stampin' Up! And this Sizzix die called Top Note. It's got some stitching that perforates on the inside. And this color box, white ink, which is fantastic white ink, I love it. And I just did a direct-to-paper technique where I just rubbed the ink pad right along the cardstock. And I'm not really caring where I start, where I end. If it gets pulled up or anything, that's just the look. But you don't want to get too much coverage, so be careful not to add too much ink. Alright, next I'm going to take my butterfly here and I'm going to ink it up with some Versamark and use some black embossing powder. I'm going to heat it to set it, and then I'm going to start working with my Inktense pencils and some water and a brush. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to wet it up, and then I'm going to pull color directly from the pencil. And when you use this technique, you're going to get a very vibrant, bold color. It's going to be really bright on the paper. The more water you use, the more diluted it'll get, and so the lighter the color will be on the paper. The less water you use, the darker the ink will be. Or not ink, the pencil. So I'm just spreading it out all across the butterfly, and now moving on to the next color, which is Tangerine. Again, I'm going to take some water on my brush, and then I'm going to just use it onto the pencil, and then put that color right onto my butterfly on the center. And I'm going to make it really dark. Then I'm going to wipe my brush, clean it off, and just use water to blend the orange and the yellow together. And then I'm going to blend that orange out. And that's it, and it blends so easily. The next color I'm using, I think it's Mallard Green. I'll have the colors on my blog. Same technique, so I'm not using as much water. I'm going to use less water so that I get a really dark, vibrant, bluish green color here. It's kind of hard to see in the video, so if you want to see a photo of it, you can go to my blog. I'm going to speed this up and color it all the way around. And then finally I've got this brown color. I'm just going to color that center. Alright, next I'm going to work on my background. So I'm inking up this wood grain stamp by Stampin' Up! With some Versamark. I'm going to use my embossing buddy, which will remove the static from my paper so I don't get some stray powder. And I wanted to use this stamp vertically. So I'm going to stamp part of my paper, and then I'm going to take a pencil, I'm going to mark where I left off. And then I'm going to finish it up. And because I marked it on the back of my cardstock, I'll be able to see where I need to line it up to continue it. And because it's a wood grain, it really doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just applying some white embossing powder. Now sometimes I get some stray marks, or like those little things from your eraser that for some reason they get caught up in my embossing powder or something. I'm not sure. But I use a paper piercer, and I just run it along the lines in between of the paper where it's not supposed to be, and then I just blow on it and it just disappears. So it's a really good way to clean up any areas that got embossing powder on it that weren't supposed to get it. And I'm going to heat it to set it. Now I'm taking a marker, and I actually used the side of this Top Note die that did not have the perforated lines in it, because I wanted it to be fairly flat. However, I can still see it so that I can draw the line and keep it. Just use that the perforation as a guide for drawing my black line. And this is just freehand with a Stampin' Up! Marker. Alright, this Thank You Kindly set. With my wood mounted stamps, I use a piece of vellum, and I stamp all my stamps on it, and then I use it with my Stamp-A-Majig. So I get it lined up just right. And now I'm going to put this embroidery thread. So what I do is I first stick it to one side underneath, and then I'm going to wrap it around 3 times. I'm going to do one diagonal, then I'll do the other diagonal, and depending on where you want them to cross. Now I wanted mine to cross more toward the top, so I made the top strands closer together and the bottom farther apart, so they would cross higher up. So I do the side, and then the center. Trim off that end. Then I punch out this butterfly with the matching punch, which is great because it doesn't leave any white border around the butterfly. Like some of the die cuts and punches will leave a white border. This one goes right up to the edge of my butterfly. Alright, so I've got some glue dots that I'm using to adhere this butterfly. Okay, now I'm going to take some Stampin' Up! Rhinestones. They come in this huge pack, and I'm going to color them with a Copic marker, and I wanted black this time, so I took a black marker. And this is a great way to coordinate your rhinestones with your card. And I'm going to use my paper piercer to pick them up, and I'm just going to adhere them around the right side of my card here. And you want to try to use an odd number. That just seems to balance it out. Okay, finally I'm going to take some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, just some foam adhesive, and I'm going to adhere my top note to my wood grain panel. And then finally my tape runner, which I was having a little bit of trouble with, to put it on a 4.5 or 4.25 by 5.5 inch folded piece of cardstock. And that's it. So it's a pretty simple card, not too many steps. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.